Yemi, you are a researcher, you are an author, and we love books on this show. Please share with us at least three books, Yemi, that you've read that have had a huge impact on you. What would those books be?
Yeah, Trevor, I struggle with this issue because, most of the time we're reading all this serious stuff. And so when I have the opportunity to read, I'm also looking to read different kinds of things. So, I thought I could come here and talk about The Audacity of Hope by Barack Obama, And I thought, no, I want to talk about things that are completely different.
Sure.
So, this is the first book. I don't know if you've...
Ferdinand Houseboy.
The Houseboy.
No, I haven't.
So, this book is a very sad book. It's funny, sad, and also tragic. It's set in colonial Cameroon. And it's based on diary. This houseboy sees what white people do. They write things in diaries. So he buys these notebooks, exercise books, we call them here. And he starts to do what they do. He writes things. So when he dies, somebody finds this, and that's what the story is. But Tunde is the main person. He escapes brutality at home. And his father was pretty physical with him, and he goes to work for a priest, missionary, as his escape. But he gets to the priest and is humiliated and brutalized by the priest. The priest then dies in an accident. And he had been introduced to, local commandant, sort of police commandant, French, police, and he starts to work. His aspiration desires to become like the French, aspire to this world of the Europeans, is what he aspires. And so in his relationship with this couple, is about that. And he loses his sense of identity in the process. And he then, the wife of the commandant, his madam, has affairs with different people. And as the houseboy, he knows all this thing and he
writes it all down.
He documents everything. But anyway, down the road, I think the system becomes uncomfortable with this houseboy who's aspiring, to be French. And so that leads to his downfall. And he's then arrested. And one of his co-workers in this house gets away with a box of money and some clothes, and they say he's part of it and he knows of it. So eventually they arrest him. He's beaten up quite severely. He's in hospital. And he escapes. Early hours of, they suspect that he has a broken rib which has punctured maybe his lung. He then escapes from Cameroon into, it was then called Spanish Guinea, Equatorial Guinea. And he goes there. That's where he dies as a result of his injuries. And he leaves behind his exercise books, which are found. And it's the story. But really, losing his sense of identity, where he belongs, aspiring to be
something else,
something into another world, and becoming complacent that he has arrived, and is therefore not able to anticipate when the system turns against him, and he's brutalized by the system, and he ends up, dying. So he escapes from brutality, from his home, and goes into the white world through the priest, and he ends up dying at the hands of brutality. So that is what
Houseboy is all about.
Yeah.
And the next book?
The next book,
Read it, Clavi.
Right. This is a book about Kwezi, and I
Yes.
think most people will know Kwezi as the woman that accused Jacob Zuma
Of rape.
of rape, and she, and then the case goes to trial, and you know the whole story about that Zuma had unprotected sex with her and so on and so on. But the issue about this book is broader, and I think what it does is that it exposes the struggles of women, you know, in this world. Kwezi grows up within the liberation struggle in Eswatini, Swaziland at that time. Her father actually died in Zimbabwe.
I didn't know.
Yeah, he died in a car accident in Zimbabwe. But she grows up, by the age of 13, she'd been raped 3 times by adults, by people that are part of
The liberation struggle.
the liberation struggle. But so the story is more about, first of all, the justice system, how it's stacked against women, but also more importantly, how most of us are complacent. That we see this as normal, and we're not able to stand up, we're not able to call each other out. And I myself have been guilty of that. That, you know, my wife will come home and tell me, can you imagine this man
Did this.
wants me to sleep with him in order to get a job, you know, and so on. And I
Don't do anything.
I don't take it seriously that something needs to be done. And that how we have become complacent and how we are normalizing what is actually
abnormal.
the abnormal. So that to me is the power. It's not so much about the trial and the details of the rape and so on, but her journey, young woman being raped by people that were close to her, people that were in the liberation struggle.
Father figures too.
Exactly. And the role of women, and if you recall at her trial, the people that were demonstrating against her
We're women.
the Women's League, the
Yeah.
ANC Women's League. And so how also women sometimes, when other women come to them for support, they tell them, well, you know, you have to play the game if you want to, you know, stay in the system. So that's the power of that.
Fantastic. And then this one. Okay.
This book is a strange book, Dead Aid, by Dambisa Mwoyo. She's Zambian, but it's controversial in the sense that some people feel that the way this book is presented and the arguments, they don't hold. Others feel that this is something that needed to be said and that she put these issues, you know, on the table.
Succinctly too.
And so the question is, why is it, I can't remember when she wrote this book, so it's probably about 14 years ago. Why is it the issues that she raised 14 years ago are still relevant today? And what are we doing to try and change those issues? And I think some of the earlier points that we're talking about, how do we change the narrative? How do we support African institutions? How do we mobilize resources domestically so that we have ownership and we take charge? And I think that, and how we can negotiate differently. So perhaps not that aid itself is bad, but it's also how we are receiving that aid and how we are negotiating, and how we are negotiating. And that perhaps we need to negotiate differently and argue differently. And maybe some of the aid we shouldn't take.